Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Picture with me your middle school or elementary school physical education class. And in my case, those not so cute uniforms. What could be better than a relay race with two teams? Who remembers how those teams were picked? Anybody? At least at my school, the PE teacher randomly chose two students as captains. They stood up front with her and alternately picked from the group of us waiting there, the strongest, the fastest, their best friend, and so on. I don't know about you, but I was in the group waiting there thinking, pick me, so I didn't have to be the last one picked. Does that resonate with anybody? But those two kids, they were gaining early experience in how to build a team. Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, today we're going to learn about building a team and techniques you can use to be a strong team leader. What is a team? A team is a group of people pulling together for a common goal. How many teams are you on? Ever thought about that? Probably more than you think. The family is a team. You're working together to live harmoniously. And if you have siblings, you're probably on a team with them, much to the frustration of your parents. Sports teams. I know you athletic-looking people out there have been on the basketball team, the baseball team, and so on. Tennis team, too. What about teams at school? Remember the dreaded group project where everyone had to do their part and turn it in? And why was there always one kid who was late turning in his part? Never figured that out. And here is a Club Awesome team, our officers. And I have to say, I love this pose by Nardia, so cute. Club Awesome, we are a team, and the officers are a subset of a team within that team. On a personal note, I've been very interested in this topic of building a team. My family runs a charity called Dollars for Tick Scholars. We award college scholarships to students who have Tourette syndrome, like my daughter Kelsey. We also send 2 kids to summer camp every year. We're a small but mighty team. There are 4 people on the board, myself, my 2 kids, and 1 advisory board member. We have a selection committee team for the scholarships, a volunteer grant writer, and a volunteer admin marketing person, who neither one comes in enough. Even being so small, thanks to our generous supporters, we have been able to award $28,000 in scholarships over the last 5 years around the country. That's pretty good for a small team. So we are grappling with the question, should we build a bigger team? With additional board members, we would have more ideas for our projects and their connections, so perhaps we could grow bigger. So we're looking at this issue to decide. Think about your teams, and as we talk, how you can use some of these techniques in your teams with work or extracurricular activities. Let's talk about the benefits of building a team. There are corporate benefits, benefits to the organization or the project. When you have team members working on something, there are more skills and knowledge applied to the projects, as well as more creativity and greater productivity. If we add board members to Dollars for Tick Scholars, there will be more productivity, more brains, more skills added to our projects. When building a team, there are also benefits to the leader, rather than doing everything yourself. When there are team members, the leader has more time to look at the organization's mission and goals, spending less time on day-to-day activities and working on the big picture. There are several steps to organizing a team. We are going to look at each one of these individually, so let's dig deeper. Selecting team members. When you are a captain of the relay race, you're looking for one attribute, speed. But look at these attributes. I'd love to have someone on my team with all of these, wouldn't you? Another good idea when you're building a team, especially for our charity, is to select team members that have complementary attributes. Someone great in finance, someone who has connections, someone who's creative. The next step in organizing the team is to make sure you review the goals with the team. There will be a general or overarching goal and purpose for building the team. Make sure your team understands that, and also how this general goal fits in with the goals of the organization. Example, Nardia passed out to all of us a survey about the moments of truth to get ideas for how to improve Club Awesome for the coming year. That was the general goal. So what's next? The specific goal. What specific goals can be put together to reach that overarching general goal? In our case, as David mentioned, it was all of those great ideas we came up with during the Moments of Truth session that will build up to add up to be a wonderful Club Awesome year, member orientation, a more organized meeting, and so forth. When your team members understand the specific and general goals, they will take more ownership of the project and be more committed and more enthusiastic. Establish parameters. Can you imagine our relay race with no rules, or Club Awesome with no agenda? Chaos! These parameters are things you might consider for your group as you build your team. Communication. How are the team members expected to communicate among each other? And how do they communicate with you, the leader? Will it be through email, in-person meetings, or perhaps collaborating on a platform like Slack? Talk about the parameters of problem solving. Will you use pro and con lists? Will everyone bring solutions to the next meeting? Will you have brainstorming sessions, or will you look at historical data to decide? And authority for decision making. One of my best examples is, if you're in a team, how much money can you spend without going to a higher authority to get permission to do that? Make sure your team understands these parameters. Develop a plan with your team. Look at the steps that need to be done. What research needs to be done, and who do we need to contact, and organize it for everyone. Assigning roles and responsibilities. Make sure that every task is covered. And a little hint, when you assign responsibilities, give it to someone who enjoys doing that. You'll have more likelihood of it getting done. Make sure your team members understand how their responsibilities relate to the team goals. And also, make sure that every team member understands what the other team members' responsibilities are, so they understand how it all fits. If you need to create a flow chart to explain this, do that for clarity. Establish measurements. How do you know how close you are to achieving your goal unless you're measuring it? Measuring also inspires accountability, because people know you're going to be checking up on that. Types of measurements. Performance monitoring for how close you're getting to your goal. Talk with your team about how you're going to do that and how often you're going to measure. The standards. What kind of standards need to be adhered to in order to gather those measurements? Will everyone turn in documentation and certain metrics by a certain time? And feedback. When will you give feedback to the team? If you have a 3-month project, will you give feedback at 1 month and 2 months and 3 months, or more often? Make sure they know that. And will you be giving feedback to the team as a whole, how they're working together, or to individuals, or both? Building team trust. But how? This is so important. Give me a couple ideas on how you think we could build trust between members. Anyone? Yes?
Team projects that you do together, that you get to work hand in hand with people.
Good try. That's what we're doing. Let's talk about how you build the trust between the members as you're working on those projects. Members are truthful. Tell the truth so people can trust you. The member and leader are regarded as equal because the leader is taking the input from the team members, the ones with the boots on the ground, so to speak, and employing it so they all feel like they're pulling together as one. Members are open with each other. If they're open, they can trust each other with their ideas. And members listen to each other. And there's not always that one person that dominates the whole conversation. Everybody gets to talk and listen. And members fulfill their responsibilities. Do what you said, just like in that group project at school. At Dollars for Tick Scholars, we create a to-do list after every board meeting, and that to-do list is emailed to everyone with the meeting minutes. They know that at the last board meeting, they're going to be held responsible for what they were supposed to be doing. Empowerment. The success of a leader depends on the ability to share power with others and let them direct their own work. As the leader, you're there to inspire and encourage your team members to take on more responsibility and authority. Just because your team members are put on a team doesn't mean that they're gelling automatically. They may be coming into the team with different levels of experience working in a team, and you may need to provide some training. Some of these ideas are training and problem solving, how to work together to look at options, how to hold effective meetings, agendas, and starting on time, how to organize things. How about we talk about the file name protocol for the documents we're creating, or where we file everything online so everyone has access. Project management, how to chunk something down into smaller steps and who does what when. Communication training, and training in conflict resolution, how to work on things together to solve it. Foster communication. This is oh so important. Your team members need to talk, to collaborate, to get those creative ideas out, and they must not be afraid of asking questions. We talked about the family being a team. My mother had a rule: there are no stupid questions. There were 3 of us kids, and if any one of us asked a question and the other 2 laughed, boy, did they get in trouble. She was unknowingly teaching us how to be supportive team members. When you foster communication, your team will experience high morale and pride in the project. They'll have a willingness to take risks because they've been talking about the possibilities, a willingness to make changes and perhaps discover that Elon Musk idea, an efficiency in resolving disagreements thanks to their good communication. I like this chart. This describes the leader's changing role as the team matures. At first, the leader is forming the teams and giving them responsibilities, so a lot of supervision. As the team settles in a little bit, the leader turns more into a problem solver or facilitator and even a coach to encourage them to take the next steps. And when the team is more mature, the leader is a monitor. You know those measurements we talked about? Applying those. And a recognizer. Last week, Dr. Burnham gave a speech on how important it is to reward and recognize people, to keep them involved. It's the leader's opportunity and job to look for ways to recognize good things going on. I think with Dollars for TIC Scholars, I'm in the supervisory role right now. We're still forming and doing things and fairly young. I would love to be in the monitor role at least, and we have decided that for the next board meeting, we're going to bring names to the table of people that we could consider to ask to be board members, with the goal of adding 2 board members this year. We're also going to look at our finances after the scholarships are cleared and see if we have enough money to hire an admin marketing person part-time. When you carefully select your team, organize your team, and provide training, a leader can harness the skills and knowledge of its team members and create growth for the organization. Now, when you're ready to run that relay race in life or business, you will be one of those 2 kids up in front of the group picking a strong team based on your new knowledge in team building and team leadership. Mr. Toastmaster.